In the grand halls of K-pop history, few names echo louder than BTS. These 7 young men didn't just rewrite the rules of music, they redefined what it means to be global icons. From sold-out stadiums in Paris to heart-fluttering speeches at the United Nations, BTS are known not just for their talent, but for their unwavering dedication, unity, and yes, discipline. But here's the twist. What happens when the very people who work behind the scenes with BTS, their own HYBE staff, secretly create an internal ranking based on how disciplined each member truly is? This isn't fan speculation. This isn't a clickbait tabloid headline. This came from murmurs inside HYBE's very own corridors. According to multiple whispers from trusted sources, a few HYBE staff members decided to evaluate BTS not for their vocals, visuals, or stage presence, but for something far more personal: their everyday work ethic, punctuality, practice habits, focus levels, and how seriously they handle their responsibilities when no one's watching. Imagine being ranked not for what you do on stage, but for what you do in the silence of rehearsal rooms, in makeup chairs at 4 a.m., or how you treat your team after 15-hour schedules. Now, before you clutch your pearls or start making guesses in your head, breathe, because this list is not meant to tear the members apart. If anything, it reveals the different shades of professionalism within the group. It's less about who's better, and more about how each of them uniquely expresses discipline. Some lead by example, others stay quiet but never late, some show up early and leave late. Others find brilliance in chaos. And every style, yes, every single one has contributed to the success story that is BTS. But you know what makes this list even more compelling? The fact that it was never meant to be seen. It was whispered about in practice rooms, mumbled over coffee breaks, and eventually, it leaked through the cracks of fandom curiosity. This secret ranking sparked heated debates, tears, laughter, and even a deeper respect for each member. Because no matter where they ended up on the list, one thing became crystal clear. BTS isn't just talented, they're made of relentless grit, personal sacrifice, and an inner fire that burns long after the cameras turn off. So, are you ready to uncover what the HYBE staff really think about the 7 legends of our time? This isn't just a list. It's a deep dive into the souls of idols who've stood under the spotlight for over a decade, yet continue to fight their own invisible battles behind closed doors. Every number will shock you. Every name will make you feel something. And every story will leave you wondering, if I were in BTS, where would I rank? Let's begin the countdown of the most disciplined BTS members, according to the people who know them best but rarely get heard. This is the secret HYBE never wanted you to know. Number 7. The Wild Spark 5, Taehyung. You probably didn't expect this, did you? The ever-charismatic, camera-melting, jazz-loving V at the bottom of HYBE's secret discipline ranking. But before you jump to conclusions, let's get one thing straight: being number 7 on this list doesn't mean he's lazy or careless, not even close. What it does mean is that Taehyung operates on a different frequency. He dances to the beat of his own saxophone, quite literally. While others may color within the lines, Taehyung is out here painting with invisible ink, only visible when the light hits just right. HYBE staff reportedly described him as unpredictable but deeply passionate. Taehyung might not always be the first to arrive at rehearsals, but when he walks in, it's with a presence that makes everyone pause. There's a calm nonchalance to him, like he's absorbed the chaos of the world and decided it's not worth rushing. He often walks into makeup sessions with earbuds in, a jazz playlist humming softly, lost in thought. It's not unusual for him to take a detour from the schedule just to snap photos of shadows on a wall or rearrange furniture in the green room for a better aesthetic vibe. That's the thing about V. His discipline isn't traditional. He doesn't always follow the script. In fact, there were times when choreographers had to ask him to refocus during long rehearsals. He'll get distracted mid-step, one HYBE insider shared, because he starts imagining a whole new concept for the performance right there on the spot. Sometimes we follow his idea, and it turns out genius. Other times, we gently reel him back in. But beneath all the spontaneity lies a heart that beats hard for his art. When it comes to acting, photography, or vocal work, V is terrifyingly focused. He once stayed in the recording booth for 6 hours straight, refusing to leave until he hit a specific emotional note that haunted him from a film score he'd heard the night before. He's a perfectionist in disguise, just not the type who brings a notebook planner. He brings intuition and instinct. What truly makes Taehyung stand out isn't a lack of discipline, but the type that's harder to measure. He's the kind of artist who seems chaotic until you see the final product, and then it all makes sense. He thrives under minimal structure, which is why some staff find him hard to manage during high-pressure schedules. But they'll also tell you that some of BTS's most legendary moments, the fashion statements, the facial expressions, the raw emotion in certain verses came from V's refusal to play it safe. So why is he number 7? Because the staff had to grade based on reliability and consistency, and when the day starts at 5 a.m., they need to know who's already awake, dressed, and waiting. V? He might still be in his hotel room staring at clouds and writing poetry in the Notes app, but give him a stage, a lens, or a line to deliver, and suddenly, the wild spark turns into fire. Taehyung's discipline isn't built from meetings or time cards, it's built from moments, and when those moments hit, no one shines brighter. The HYBE staff didn't rank him low out of disrespect, they did it because he's a star that refuses to be boxed in. He may be number 7 inches structure, but in soul he's untouchable. Number 6. The quiet chaos Jungkook. Now, hold on a second. You're telling me Jungkook, the golden maknae, the guy who can sing, dance, box, paint, and even edit videos is 6th in a discipline ranking? That's right. And it's not because he lacks talent or commitment, far from it. In fact, the very reason he's so low on this list is because he's so multi-talented, it's nearly impossible for anyone including the HYBE staff to keep up with him. Here's the deal. Jungkook is intense, but he's intense in waves. One moment, he's laser-focused, eyes narrowed, jaw clenched, working on perfecting a dance routine for the 5th hour straight. The next, he's suddenly vanished, maybe filming his own vlog in the stairwell, maybe doing push-ups in the hallway, or maybe, and this has happened, trying to teach himself how to play a random new instrument he found online. It's not that he doesn't care. It's that his brain is 1,000 tabs open at once, and not all of them respond to the discipline tab. HYBE insiders have a nickname for him, the Hurricane. Not because he's destructive, but because when he gets into something, really gets into it, he becomes unstoppable. He'll spend hours tweaking a vocal inflection in the studio, or practicing a backflip, not because it's required, but because he wants it to be perfect. The problem? That same energy sometimes makes him drift during group rehearsals. His mind races ahead, and he has trouble slowing it down for the group rhythm. We used to lose him in choreography discussions, one stylist joked, because halfway through, he'd be filming himself doing a freestyle in the corner. Let's not forget he's also the youngest. He came into this industry as a literal teenager, and while he grew up fast, some of that youngest child energy still lingers. He's been known to sleep through alarms, sneak extra snacks before vocal training, or disappear from the dressing room only to return with a new piercing. He lives in the moment, and for Jungkook, that moment often doesn't align with the structure HYBE tries to impose. But don't mistake this for irresponsibility. Jungkook cares, deeply, painfully. He once broke down in tears after a live show because he felt he didn't give his best even though the entire staff was applauding him backstage. His problem isn't discipline, it's self-imposed chaos. He sets his own expectations so high that sometimes, the structured discipline HYBE measures him by feels irrelevant to him. Still, the staff had to call it like they saw it, and while they all acknowledged his god-tier performance ability, they also noted how hard it is to predict Jungkook's work patterns. One day, he's the first to arrive, fully stretched and ready. The next, he's sprinting down the hall because he forgot what time rehearsal started. His personal schedule? A mystery even to himself. What saves him, always, is that switch he flips right before the curtain rises. No matter how scattered he may seem backstage, when it's showtime, Jungkook is on. His discipline may be messy, unconventional, and borderline chaotic, but when the spotlight hits him, there's no doubt, the hurricane becomes a force of controlled power that nobody can stop. So yeah, he's number 6, but don't be fooled. The golden maknae doesn't need to be number 1 inch routine because he's already number 1 inch heart-stopping, stage-owning, jaw-dropping moments. And in the end, that's the kind of discipline only Jungkook understands. Number 5. The hidden strategist J-Hope. Wait, what? J-Hope, mister. I'm your hope, you're my hope. The literal dance captain of BTS, 5th in the HYBE staff's discipline ranking. At first glance, this feels wrong. Completely wrong. After all, J-Hope is the guy who counts every beat, memorizes every position, and corrects posture mid-choreography with the precision of a military drill sergeant. But here's where things get interesting. While HYBE is known for his energy, sharpness, and consistency on stage, HYBE staff saw a different kind of discipline off stage, and it wasn't always the most consistent. J-Hope is what they called the self-contained soldier. He doesn't always show up early, but he never slacks off. He doesn't raise his voice, but you know when he's not happy with something. His discipline is internal, quiet, calculated. And sometimes, that means he lets go of rigidity to preserve the group's balance. One staff member put it best. If someone's late, if the energy is off, If the mood in the room is weird, HYBE fixes it, not by barking orders, but by changing his own rhythm to match everyone else's. That's a different kind of discipline. And that's just it. J-Hope's strength is his adaptability. He's the guy who notices when a member is zoning out, when a camera angle doesn't feel right, or when a dance move just isn't landing like it did in rehearsals. And instead of reacting emotionally, he processes, strategizes, shifts gears. That level of emotional discipline? Invaluable. But because it's not easily quantified like arriving early, staying latest, or checking off task lists, he didn't land at the top. There were moments when staff would admit he coasted through early rehearsals with lower energy not because he was lazy, but because he was conserving himself. He never gives 100% at first run-throughs, said one vocal coach. He gives 60%, watches everyone, makes adjustments in his head, and then by the final take, he unleashes perfection. In other words, J-Hope is a tactical perfectionist. He's also the one who takes breaks strategically, not out of fatigue, but out of foresight. He knows his body, he knows his limits. He knows when to push and when to pull back. That level of self-awareness is admirable, but it can come across as less disciplined when staff are looking for clockwork routines and repetitive reps. Then there's his role as a mood anchor. HYBE often takes it upon himself to cheer others up, crack jokes, or lighten the pressure. That sometimes means stepping away from discipline momentarily because what the group really needs in that instant isn't stricter rehearsal, but laughter. And he delivers, every time. Still, J-Hope's dance-focused work ethic is unmatched. When it comes to stage performance, his notebook of ideas, formations, and transitions is thicker than some directors. He's the type who can spot a shaky frame mid-dance, pause, adjust, and run the whole number again without complaint. But HYBE's ranking looked beyond the stage. And in the daily grind, HYBE's relaxed demeanor, occasional late starts, and habit of flowing with the team rather than driving the schedule knocked him down a few spots. But let's be real. Fifth place in a list of legends doesn't mean weak discipline, it means balanced discipline. HYBE isn't the loudest or earliest or strictest, he's the smartest about his energy. He knows when to speak, when to shine, and more impressively when to step back. That's why BTS functions like a machine, because its engine knows how to breathe. Number 4. The Silent Flame Jin. You didn't expect Worldwide Handsome to rank this high, did you? Most fans associate Jin with laughter, dad jokes, food reviews, and chaotic energy during Run BTS episodes. But HYBE staff saw another side of Kim Seokjin, one that fans rarely get to witness. And when it came to discipline, Jin quietly climbed to number 4 by doing something shockingly simple: showing up, every single time. Let's get something straight. Jin isn't flashy about his work ethic. He doesn't document his grind. He doesn't announce when he's practicing. But ask the staff who handles time cards, set calls, or rehearsal check-ins, and they'll tell you, Jin is always there, on time, sometimes early, sometimes already dressed, and sitting with his script or lyrics open, reading in silence. He doesn't need validation. He doesn't need praise. He just works. One staff member admitted, he's so easy to underestimate. He cracks jokes, acts goofy, but when no one's watching, he's the one who learns the script by heart before the others. He memorizes timing for his camera angles. He runs through his lines backstage by himself. Jin's discipline isn't in your face. It's subtle, mature, and frighteningly consistent. While younger members get distracted, Jin quietly stays on track. And remember, he wasn't the dancer or rapper when BTS began. He didn't come from a music background. His early years were filled with critiques about his skills, with people calling him just the visual. But what did he do? He practiced, alone. Late at night. Every dance practice, he stayed extra. Every vocal lesson, he asked more questions. There's a reason his live vocals in concerts are rock solid today. It's not natural talent. It's relentless discipline, covered in a goofy smile. HYBE staff also praised Jin's professionalism. He never complains on long set days. He eats quietly between takes. He helps coordinate with stylists. Jin has that eldest brother who's secretly the dad of the house energy, one assistant joked. He remembers staff birthdays, he brings coffee for trainees, and when a new junior artist debuted under HYBE, it was Jin who sent the first message of encouragement. No cameras, no hashtags, just decency and discipline. But don't get it twisted, he has his lazy days. There were times Jin would stretch out on the couch mid-meeting, or sneak in snacks during weight cuts, or even distract the makeup team by joking around. But the difference is, he knows when to switch gears. When it's game time, Jin turns into a stone wall of focus. He may joke right before going on stage, but once that red light blinks, it's precision. That's why HYBE staff respect him so much. He doesn't pretend to be disciplined, he just is. quietly, consistently, without needing to prove anything. Jin understands that discipline isn't about being robotic, it's about showing up, staying grounded, and taking your role seriously even when you're not the center of attention. And here's the kicker: during BTS's busiest years, when members were burning out left and right, it was Jin who helped keep the pace calm, not by shouting orders, but by modeling balance. He was the only one who'd say, "Let's stop and eat properly," said one nutritionist. That's discipline too, taking care of yourself and the team. So yeah, number 4 may surprise armies who only know his chaotic side. But ask any staff member who's been with BTS during 3 a.m. shoots or rainy rehearsal days, and they'll tell you, behind the goofy grin is one of the most rock-solid professionals HYBE has ever seen. Number 3, the relentless General RM. When you think about the word discipline, one name probably comes to mind first: Kim Namjoon, the leader, the thinker, the philosopher, the man who juggled BTS schedules, United Nations speeches, museum visits, and late-night lyric writing like he was born for it. So, why isn't he number 1? Why is the very pillar of BTS standing at number 3 inches HYBE's secret ranking? Well, the answer isn't because he lacks discipline. It's because his version of discipline goes beyond what even HYBE staff expected. Namjoon isn't the type to merely follow schedules. He builds them. He isn't just punctual, he's mentally 5 steps ahead. And while most of the staff admitted he was the most responsible member of BTS, some also revealed something surprising. Sometimes, Namjoon pushes himself so hard, he forgets to breathe. Let's rewind. From the very beginning, RM wasn't just a rapper. He was the translator, the spokesperson, the negotiator, and the emotional firewall between the group and the world. HYBE insiders shared how he would stay back after meetings, double-check translation nuances, rephrase scripts to better suit BTS's tone, and even offer to re-record parts of group interviews because he felt his intonation was off. That's discipline bordering on obsession, but it comes with a cost. Staff revealed that Namjoon is notoriously hard on himself. "We'd tell him something went well," one senior manager said, and he'd already be re-evaluating what went wrong. During comeback preps, he'd be the last one to leave the studio not because he had to, but because he couldn't rest until every verse felt honest. He doesn't just follow rules. He sets internal standards that exceed everyone else's expectations, and then he punishes himself when he falls even 1% short. This is where the ranking gets nuanced. While Namjoon's dedication is unmatched, his all-or-nothing intensity sometimes becomes unstable. He forgets meals. He forgets to rest. One staff recalled a day when Namjoon collapsed into a chair after a 14-hour prep session and mumbled, "I think I'm too human for this." Another remembered how he once skipped the company dinner after a major performance just to walk alone near the Han River and decompress. "He's more disciplined than any idol I've met," a stylist said. "But it scares me how much pressure he puts on himself. And yet he never lets it show publicly." That's what stunned the staff most. RM carries his exhaustion with elegance. He listens during group arguments. He uplifts the youngest members when they're down. He rewrites lyrics with Taehyung, offers vocal tips to Jin, and even calms Jungkook's perfectionist spirals by sharing his own failures. That kind of emotional discipline? Rare. Almost sacred. He doesn't command respect, he earns it. So why not number 1? Because according to the internal rubric, discipline also meant balance, and Namjoon's fire, while admirable, isn't always sustainable. His mind runs faster than his body can keep up. He sacrifices sleep for creativity, rest for responsibility, and peace for perfection. It's beautiful, but sometimes heartbreaking. And HYBE, watching from behind the scenes, had to rank based not just on commitment, but on long-term sustainability. Still, number 3 is a throne in its own right, and Namjoon? He wears it like a general with scars you'll never see. He is BTS's compass, their backbone, their quiet storm. And if he's number 3, can you imagine the monsters of discipline waiting at number 2 and number 1? Number 2, the iron routine Jimin. You could almost hear a pin drop at HYBE when Jimin's name landed in the number 2 spot. Not because he wasn't deserving. Oh, he absolutely was, but because many assumed that Jimin's soft voice, emotional nature, and affectionate personality meant he was more heart than structure. But behind those puppy eyes and angelic vocals hides a beast of discipline so intense, so grueling, even some staff admitted they were worried for him at times. Jimin doesn't just practice. He punishes himself in the name of improvement. One vocal trainer revealed he wouldn't leave the room until he nailed a single ad-lib, sometimes staying 2-3 hours after others left. Another choreographer recalled a moment during the Black Swan era where Jimin fell hard during a practice run. Everyone told him to rest. He got up and repeated the move 12 more times, bleeding, bruised, still dancing. And then there's the mirror. Oh, the mirror. Staff say Jimin would often rehearse in front of mirrors not to admire himself but to self-correct. Every angle, every hand flick, every breath. He would film himself from multiple angles, watch it silently, then sigh and say, "Again," one camera operator said. It was like watching a monk train, not an idol. This obsession with perfection began early. As one of the last members added to BTS, Jimin often felt he had to catch up. He didn't have the natural rap skills of Namjoon or the vocal bass of Jungkook. So he outworked everyone. And when people called him the weakest in the early days, that didn't break him. It fueled him. His mindset wasn't, "I want to be good." It was, "I will never give anyone a reason to say I don't deserve this." HYBE staff quickly noticed that Jimin was always one of the first to arrive and the last to leave. He never missed a call time, never skipped a rehearsal. Even during injuries, and he's had many, he would beg doctors to clear him early. And when he couldn't dance, he trained vocals. When he couldn't sing, he studied facial expressions. When he couldn't perform, he worked on presence. His discipline wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. But with all that comes cost. Jimin's emotional depth is a double-edged sword. Staff have witnessed him crying in stairwells after rehearsals, not from pain, but from frustration because he couldn't hit a note perfectly, even when the producers already approved it. He once apologized for a live performance fans loved because he felt he was one beat late on a single move. A single beat. Still, that same passion is what makes him a weapon on stage. Jimin's transitions are seamless. His expressions? Choreographed to the millimeter. His vocal tone? Tailored like couture. Every second he steps on stage is backed by hours, no, days of behind-the-scenes preparation. No improvisation, no sloppiness, no, "I'll wing it." With Jimin, it's war. Every performance is a war against his own limits. The HYBE staff ranked him number 2, not because he tries harder, but because he never stops trying. Even when told he's enough, he keeps pushing. His pain threshold, his disciplined stamina, his tolerance for repetition, it's all terrifying. One wardrobe assistant said, Jimin would ask to rehearse in his full stage outfit so he could test how fabric moves during spins. Who does that? Answer: Park, Jimin. But why isn't he number 1? Because sometimes his intensity hurts him. Staff have begged him to rest. Vocal coaches have warned about vocal nodules. Doctors have cautioned him about back injuries. But Jimin? He nods, then pushes anyway. His discipline isn't just iron, it's molten steel, but even steel can break. Still, if there's one thing the HYBE team agrees on, it's that Jimin is the engine of discipline. And if BTS ever needed someone to keep the machine moving, even in darkness, even through exhaustion, it's him. The softest voice carries the strongest resolve. And now, only one name remains. Number 1. The unshakable clock Suga. That's right, number 1. Min Yoongi, the quiet one, the shadow in the back, the man who barely raises his voice above a whisper unless he's in a studio booth. But according to HYBE staff, the people who've watched every sunrise and every meltdown behind the scenes, Suga isn't just disciplined. He is discipline, and not the flashy, dramatic, "I stayed up all night" kind. No. This is the cold, quiet, terrifyingly efficient kind. The kind that turns dreams into systems. The kind that makes a career out of consistency. Suga doesn't show up late, ever. He doesn't forget lyrics. He doesn't miss steps. He doesn't flinch when the schedule shifts or the room is tense. He simply executes, over and over, like a machine that breathes art. One coordinator said, Yoongi is the only one who arrives before the call time without fail. Every time. If it's 6 a.m., he's there at 5:40. No coffee, no complaints. That quietness you see on camera, that's not aloofness, that's concentration. Suga is constantly tracking what's going on, who's off beat, who's tired, who needs help. And when something needs fixing, he speaks, but only when it's essential. He doesn't waste time, a junior manager said. When he talks, it's to solve something. There's no ego. In the studio, he's a demon. One producer revealed that Suga has the entire Pro Tools interface memorized. He doesn't just write songs, the producer said. He builds them like architecture. He knows where each sound should land by milliseconds. He can listen to a drum loop once and immediately shift its tempo. He can record guide vocals for other members, mix them, and export drafts all before the others even finish their first verse. And here's what's wild, he's done this through chronic pain. Suga has battled shoulder injuries for years, surgeries, rehab, sleepless nights, but you wouldn't know. Because even when his body screamed, he showed up, rehearsed, recorded, performed, and never once asked for special treatment. His pain threshold is beyond idol level, a choreographer admitted. He doesn't flinch. But Suga's discipline goes deeper than time management. It's philosophical. He believes in mastery, not perfection for applause, but precision for self-respect. He once said in an internal meeting, "I don't want to be the loudest. I want to be the most consistent." That consistency is what built his solo success, his global producer rep, and his respected presence not just in BTS but across the industry. He's the one who reviews performance footage frame by frame, not out of vanity, but out of obsession for improvement. He's the one who re-records lines everyone thought were fine, who remixes already approved songs, who memorizes set lists and lighting cues, and saves staff from making last-minute corrections. HYBE insiders nicknamed him the metronome, because when everything else falls apart, he stays in rhythm. But here's the most impressive part. Suga doesn't talk about discipline. He lives it. He doesn't flex his hours, his drafts, his arrangements. He just delivers. On stage, off stage, in the studio, in meetings, Suga is the embodiment of quiet excellence. He doesn't need praise. He doesn't chase first place. But when the HYBE staff laid out their criteria: consistency, reliability, focus, responsibility, endurance, he didn't just tick every box. He defined them. So yes, the world may still call Jungkook the golden maknae, RM the leader, J, Hope the hope, but inside the halls of HYBE, there's another name spoken with reverence. The man who never wavered, never broke, never showed up unprepared. Suga, number 1-inch discipline, not because he wanted the title but because he made it look effortless. And that, ARMY, is the full list, a secret ranking never meant to be seen, but one that reveals the truth behind the legends we love. Every member of BTS is disciplined in their own way. Some are flames, some are storms, some are silent clocks. But together, they built the most disciplined group in K-pop history. And now, you know why.